That'd be great. Courthouse Nation.
Everybody, thank you so much for that beautiful music. Welcome to the fellowship for today. So glad that you can make it here in person and also virtually. Glad that you're with us. And we know at the fellowship that all encounters are holy. And we know that the time together, our time together is by divine appointment. And to open our service, I'm going to have us stand if you're able, and we will sing the prayer of the Child of Love from our beloved Corey Williams, our creator.
Right on the front.
Yeah, it's right on the front of your songbook.
Father, Mother, God, your kingdom come, your holy will be wholly done. Spirit, source of love, you flow through me, your loving child, eternally. Every day, in every way, amen. Every day, I will pray again. Father, Mother, God, your kingdom come, your holy be wholly done. Spirit, source of love, you flow through me, your loving child, eternally. Everywhere, let love be there. Amen. Everywhere, this my prayer again. Father, Mother, God, your kingdom come, your holy will be wholly done. Spirit, source of love, you flow through me, your loving child, eternally.
Beautiful. That sounded just so lovely. Thank you, everyone. Oh, what a way to start. Love it. And before we do our opening meditation, I'd like you to take out your packet and look around if you don't see one on your chair. And it's just an envelope. You'll have a financial gift card in there. And there's also a card, a connection card. So if you're new or if you haven't been here in a while, update that information. Maybe it's a new phone number or email so you can get some of the e-announcements. And also on the very back is a list of those we will pray for later in the service. So there should be a pencil in there and just jot down any of those names that you want us to include in today's service, and they'll also go on our prayer list as well. And then before the meditation, I'm going to have us end with this. I think we've done it once before. It's a peace mantra and a mudra. So I want to just do it now so then later we can just go right into it at the end of our meditation. So we're going to bring each finger to the pad of our thumb, and we're going to switch, keep going. We've done this, a few of you that have done this with me. The words are, peace begins with me. So peace begins with me. One more time. Peace begins with me. And then you can relax your hands down on your thighs to do that too. But we'll do that later. Okay, and now I invite you to close your eyes or gaze downward for our meditation. Just finding a nice comfortable position, nice upright but not rigid spine. Just find this real openness across your chest, this open and receptive posture, open to the divine messages that will come. And this open posture helps us to really feel present. And just feeling your feet on the floor, all four corners of your feet. Like a rooting down and anchoring into our dear Mother Earth. And finding those sit bones, and think of anchoring, that's feeling the support right below you. Just holding that spine. And from here, in this nice open posture, let's take some slow, deep breaths in and out. So just some nice, slow, deep breaths. Inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your nose if that's available to you today. And let's do that again. That slow, deep breath in. Just kind of really grounding and just shaking off any of maybe the nervousness or stress of the day. And then just letting your breathing cycles just soften and lengthen naturally. And you can place your hand on your heart center, this place of peace. And connecting to this limitless presence within. And feeling that aliveness in your body. And as we slow down our system, welcome yourself here. And being open to whatever is yours to receive today. And let us be in full receiving mode. Opening to the gifts, treasures, and the awarenesses gleaned. Knowing they will ripple out to the world through us. And then we'll add our mudra mantra. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. One more time out loud. Peace begins with me. And then just relaxing your hands on your legs or wherever feels comfortable. And let's repeat that internally. About 5 more times. And then I'll have you take a deeper breath in and out as you come back to this space. And then I'm going to have everyone. Oh, we get to welcome our musician, David Meeder, a wonderful, wonderful musician. A big round of applause.
spirit of dance.
Lovely. Thank you so much, David. Oh, love that. That's such an interesting. Your flute. What is? Yeah.
Oh, so that's a high spirits flute. It's actually two flutes really in one. The second flute is just one note, and then it's a place that it's an octave. So the other one is an A pentatonic minor scale. And so just by adding that drone, it really creates a lot.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Beautiful. Okay, and now we get to stand, if you're able, for a fellowship song, Don't Put Your Limits on My God, page 8. And then we'll stay standing for our namaste, our greeting, in whichever way feels good to you today.
Don't put your limits on my God. Don't tell me what I must believe. If God's going to do His work, He must be free. Don't put Him in a little box and say you must be orthodox. For the love of God's limits into me. Since beginning of creation, I've been worshiping His gods. In the hills and on the plains and by the sea. He's made rules and regulations that have passed through generations of the way to worship God properly. Don't put your limits on my God, or tell me what I must believe. If God's going to do her work, she must be free. Don't put her in a little box. Say you must be orthodox, for For the love of God's unlimited to me. There are rules for how to pray, and rituals for every day, that will teach us how to love the Lord our God. But one is even stranger, there really is a danger, that we're worshiping the rules instead of God. Don't put your limits on my God, and tell me what I must believe. If God's going to do his works, he must be free. Don't put him in a little box and say you must be orthodox. For the love of God unlimited to me. Unlimited, uninhibited. He's high in the sky as well as deep inside me. He's the universal principle of love for eternity.
Yay! Woo! Very cool. Very fun. Nice job. Yep. Namaste, Phoebe.
See.
Pumpkins.
Yeah,
Did you see what he made?
What'd you make?
stuffed peppers, but they're orange and they have holes cut for pumpkin eyes and nose and
That
to the little
sounds
pumpkins.
fun. Oh man. How you doing?
That's such a fun part. Gosh, I love it. I love it. Oh, that's so nice to be able to be together.
Our ministerial program.
And now it is my pleasure to introduce our spiritual director of the fellowship for today, our just beloved Reverend Mary Sabaj.
Hello, everybody. Well, last time I spoke, which was been a few weeks ago, I was, if you recall, very excited about rediscovering Barbara Marx Hubbard and her inspiration, Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. And I spoke about that, and the excitement hasn't gone away. So I'm speaking about it again today, in a different way, of course. I'm not delivering the same talk. As I said last week, or the last time I spoke about it, it really is exciting to me. And after I gave the talk, I was hearing from a number of people that Barbara Marx Hubbard had been here to the fellowship and gave a talk to us. Some of you had interactions with her, Bill Dietrich for one, and I don't know who else might have, but it was, I'm sure, just a really precious precious experience for those who were able to listen to her in person. Well, as you know, in 2009, she made her transition, but I don't believe that this message of hers, that she was adamant about giving until the very last moment at the age of 89 when she left this planet, I don't believe that it should be shelved and forgotten. Julia Friedge the other day found several of her books in the fellowship office. I don't think they have ever been taken out to read, but maybe they will be now. I hope so. So to begin a little bit anew with this, Barbara wanted for us to understand that we are the product, each of us, of billions of years of evolution. Successful evolution, she calls it. And she uses this wonderful visual of a spiral. A spiral. And so this spiral begins out of nothing, the no thing, the silence of the cosmos. And she calls it a furling forth of the energy, which was the Big Bang. In the first 3 seconds, she said, of that explosion into being, there was a pattern, a code set into the universe that we can still carry in us as we move forward through evolution. So out of nothing, there came the universe, one spiral. Then the solar system and the earth, another spiral. And each of these spirals are billions of years in fruition. Then life, then animal life, and then human life. And she said before she left us that we are on the precipice of going around another turn on this spiral. She also said that in the core of this spiral, going all the way through, is this amazing presence that you and I know as many names, whether it's God, Source, creative intelligence, whatever that label is, that core of this spiral is that magnificent presence. I would suggest that the entire spiral is God, is love. That's my interpretation. But this whole process of evolution that we are a part of is divinely intelligent. And there's this pattern, this code at the heart of the spiral that keeps evolution moving. She talks about several lessons that we can learn from past evolution, from our history. And I think they're really important. And I as I was reading them, I thought, we can all see things in these. So just open up your evolutionary eyes and as I talk about these lessons. The first lesson is that nature is transformative. The nature of nature is transformation. Newness is inherent in transformation, in the nature of reality. Quantum transformation jumps from one state to another. And we see that in the spiral, the jump from nothing to a universe, the jump from an empty universe to a solar system and Earth, and on and on. Number 2, she tells us that crises precede transformation. Now, I don't believe that they have to, but we certainly have seen that in our evolutionary past. Problems are evolutionary drivers, for example. She says, in the early oceans or waters or seas of the earth, when that's all there were single cells in the oceans. And those single cells began to grow and proliferate, and more of them came into existence, emerged into existence. And at some point in time, there were too many. They were crowded and becoming stagnant. And if we had been a cell in that ocean at the time, we might have thought, this is it. But something miraculous happened, and it's called a chlorophyll molecule. So out of that problem, out of that near extinction, a mutation occurred that created photosynthesis, and we've all heard of that, with the way our plants grow and thrive. This photosynthesis process brought oxygen into the single cells. That might sound like a good thing, but to single cells, oxygen was poison. So again, she said, if we had been a single cell in that sea, we might have said, we need to outlaw oxygen. It's only going to kill us. But what happened is this amazing mutation. Multicellular life emerged. And that oxygen was used by these multicellular life forms that were capable of taking in the oxygen as energy. And from that, plants, animals, and the biosphere were created. Again, a huge jump from single cell to multi-cell, and ability to use this new source of energy. She also talks about nature being able to create whole systems out of separate parts. They come together and they create something that is greater and different from the whole or sum of its parts. And all we need to do to see an example of that is look at our bodies, which are made up of 70 trillion cells that each have their own job to do, but they come together in these vast within systems like our vascular system and our muscular system, on, to do their job together, and all of that creates something out of this, pulling those parts together, creates an amazing human. It's such a beautiful example. That's called synergy. And nature creates greater synergy and greater cooperation as we evolve. Now she warns, and this may sound familiar, that when a species is young, it's competitive, it eats its environment, and competes with itself. It hits a limit of growth, and if it doesn't learn to cooperate, it becomes extinct. We have an example of that in the early humans that walked the earth. Again, so interesting. The Homo habilis, the tool makers, the Homo erectus, the humans that discovered fire, and Homo Neanderthals, right before Homo sapiens appeared. And now there's a term that's being used, Homo sapiens sapiens. It's a little controversial, but what the thought behind it is the me who knows that it knows. It's self-reflective consciousness emerging in the early human world. So what happened to the Neanderthals right before us? Well, there's not a whole lot of good information or good opinion on that. Louis Leakey, who was the one who worked with Jane Goodall so closely, his idea is that Homo sapiens had a better way of sharing food and cooperating with each other than the Neanderthals, and so the Neanderthals became extinct. So here we are, early humans, early Homo sapiens, with a pretty good foothold in the evolutionary cycle, and something else new comes along millions of years later. The great individuals that came to Earth to share with us the consciousness of this God that we know, this presence. Individuals like Isaiah and Zoroaster, Buddha, Jesus, and Muhammad. Breaking through consciousness, a huge jump in consciousness. And each of those individuals became huge centers of great cultures on this planet. And still we yearn for something more. Our civilizations on the planet at that time yearned for something more. She talks about this last 300 years that we've lived, and all of the radical new ideas, the radical new advancements, all the way from the Industrial Revolution to current day. One evolutionary advancement she talks about is democracy. She says that's not going away. And the idea of it, whether or not it's actually used in the way that it's intended, is another thing again. But the idea of it is to create a freedom for all individuals to be allowed to express their creativity any way they want to. So at some point, I believe that's going to come to fruition. Science and technology, huge advancements in the last 300 years. I remember sitting on the sofa with my grandfather, just leaning against him and listening to his stories. He loved to tell stories. And he would tell me about his life back in he called it the olden days. And he said, Mary Ellen, you know that when I was little, when I was growing up, there were only horses. There were only horses and wagons and carriages to get us from one place to another. And in his lifetime, he was able to take an airplane to visit his son in California. And he also experienced or was aware of space travel. Now imagine that. Imagine he was just living in that right period of time. He was in his 80s when he finally passed. To have experienced this whole huge transformation of our ability to get from one place to another. And I remember he got all dressed up for that plane trip to visit his son, and he was so excited. My mom and I took him to the airport, and just the plane trip alone was enough for him. It was really wonderful. So we have all these radical new capacities and abilities, and we are all connecting and complexifying more and more. And there has been this huge jump in consciousness as we are going around this next spiral. And she said what happens when all of this starts to converge is that everything speeds up. Everything. Problems increase. The systems that we're used to fail. The institutions that have been, time-honored institutions in our world begin to fail. Despair escalates, and even apathy escalates. And it's because we're trying to control everything within the context of an existing world, a world that doesn't work anymore for the problems that have come to bear, and for the all of the people in our on our planet who have made a consciousness jump, who are awakening. But she says, don't despair, because at the same time all of that's happening, so are the innovations and creative solutions rising and expanding. And so is our individual and collective consciousness around new powers and capabilities and unlimited possibility. So again, we ask the question, what is our role? What can we do as we sit here together in this beautiful fellowship community? Well, Barbara said that what we must do, and she didn't mince words, we must be attracted to an image of our future. Because so far, even though all these advances have been occurring, we don't really have a very specific view of what the future looks like for humankind. She said for her, she visions a universal humanity. Universal humans that are learning that they are connected through heart to the whole of life, that are learning that we are being awakened from within by this core of the spiral, by love, divine love itself, in order for us to be able to express more and love more and create more. But she says this was still a very vague vision, she calls it. But she, in one of her talks that I was listening to, said, I have a metaphor for you that will help you believe not only that it's possible, but that it's happening. And that metaphor is the metamorphosis of a caterpillar to a butterfly. Nancy, could you pass out those little cards? And when I heard that, my jaw dropped. It just dropped. I mean, we've all heard about the metamorphosis. Caterpillar turns into butterfly. Since we were little, we've heard about that. But when I went to my daughter's in California the last couple weeks of August, before I arrived, she had set up this world of creating and nurturing and supporting and protecting butterfly eggs and caterpillars as they hatch and turn into these beautiful monarch butterflies. I know that Laura Bruder has been doing that as well. Deb Plickta did that for a couple years. Well, my daughter was just so excited and so involved in this, and when I got there, things were already along the track with the eggs and the caterpillars. And while I was there, she and I both released 30 monarch butterflies in a period of 2 weeks. And I was able to observe the whole process. We would get up in the morning, hard to believe, San Diego, but we'd bundle up in our sweater and our scarves and our hot coffee, go down early in the morning and just watch, observe what was happening. The caterpillars eating the milkweed, the caterpillars creating their little J shape to begin the chrysalis process, the whole thing. And we come back later in the evening and sit and watch again. It was watching a miracle and watching a mystery. Well, Barbara talks about this because she was able to work with a scientist who knew in more detail what was happening inside there. First of all, I know that the chrysalis is not spun. I thought it was, like a moth, that the caterpillar would spin the chrysalis around it. But in watching, I couldn't find it anywhere online. People avoided this topic, of explaining what was happening. But when I watched really closely, I could see the caterpillar was shedding its skin, letting go of its identity to become the chrysalis and to, nurture this process of evolution within this tiny little 1.5-inch chrysalis. So Barbara tells us that within that chrysalis, there's something called imaginal discs. Isn't that amazing in and of itself? Imaginal discs. And they hold the new genetic code of the butterfly. Now, the caterpillar's immune system sees them as foreign and tries to kill them. Let's think about ourselves and let's think about our world and our society. But the pattern, the code is there in the chrysalis, and these imaginal discs grow and proliferate and begin to connect and turn into imaginal cells. And eventually there are so many imaginal cells that are holding the image of the butterfly to come. That is law of attraction wrapped up with a red bow on it right there. Holding the image of the butterfly to come. And eventually the caterpillar's immune system gives up and stops attacking, and the imaginal cells are able to use the substance of the caterpillar to create the monarch butterfly. And I started thinking about imaginal humans over the course of our evolution as human beings on this earth. There have been so many humans, imaginal humans, theologians, scientists, philosophers, prophets, and probably so many that we're not even aware of, that were holding the vision of a better world. The one that pops up right away in my mind is Martin Luther King. And what happened to a lot of those imaginal humans? They were killed. They were attacked. They were arrested. They were excommunicated. They were oppressed. They were disenfranchised from the church or whatever organization, scientific organizations. You don't think the way we think, you're out. And they tried to hold things in the way they were. They tried to hold everything the way it was. So on this little card that I passed out, these are my photos of the cute little caterpillar upside down. His name is JJ, or was JJ. And I just bonded with this little guy. And he was always silly. He was looking upside down at me like, in this picture. And I would sit and talk to him and just like really felt this attachment to this little caterpillar. And one day Janessa said, "Mom, how are you going to feel when JJ turns into a butterfly? He's going to be gone." And I thought about that, because I really had feelings for this little caterpillar. And I thought, my first reaction was, oh no, he's going to be gone. And then I thought to myself, but am I the person who's going to try to hold things the way that it was? If I could have intruded on this process successfully, would I be that person to say, no, you're going to stay a caterpillar because I love you and I don't want you to change? So I thought, no, I'm going to just allow this beautiful caterpillar to turn into it, to find its destiny, so to speak. And he did, and it turned out to be a he, actually, after all. And it was almost a magical time lapse too, because he turned into his butterfly self a little early, so I was there, able to see the whole process and be able to release him into the sky. But my daughter just nurtured these little sweet things and loved them, and she'd pull. It was interesting because some of them, when they would, after they dried their wings, they were just aching to get out of there. They were just running around, climbing around the, let me out. So she'd put one on her hand, and it just, would fly off immediately. And others, she's like, it's time for you. But it was kind of moving slow, and she'd take it on her hand, put it out. No, I'm going to sit here. And she'd look at me and she'd say, it's not ready yet. So she'd put it back in. And sometimes she'd even bring it out. It wasn't going anywhere, and she'd put it on some of the flowers in the garden and let the sun, continue to dry out the wings. And eventually they all flew away. But it was just an amazing experience. And so what I just want us to think about is, how can we use this metaphor to take a look at ourselves? Are we trying to control ourselves? Is our ego trying to say, no, you're not changing? I want to keep this, this working the same way. It's working pretty good for me. Or, can we let that go, shed our skin, and say, what's next in this beautiful, beautiful world of evolution? So she said that anyone who has any thoughts at all about a better world, a more peaceful world, a more loving world, these are imaginal humans. And as far as coming together, she said, think about stained glass pieces. There are all these beautiful little jewels of stained glass and all these gorgeous colors, individually unique, doing their own thing, creating what they want to create, loving, but apart, you can't see the picture. But bringing them together, bringing these imaginal humans together with all of their visions and their aspirations and what they choose to create, it becomes like this big, beautiful stained glass window where we can see an image of a future human race. So the key is finding the conscious intention of what this is going to be, what this is going to look like. Each of us, each one of us. This is our challenge and this is our opportunity, she says. And Barbara Marx Hubbard invites us to vision this way. Let's vision this next turn on the evolutionary spiral as the emergence of a more spiritual, more intelligent, more conscious, more compassionate, more free, universal species. Let's consciously and intentionally place ourselves in the great tradition of quantum transformation. Let's think about it. Let's know it. Let's bring it into our spiritual practices so that it's not just a talk 30 years ago and books gathering dust on the shelf, so that it's in our world and we're part of it. I think that it's so important. And Ian Whitney, our School of Ministry student, told us this quote last class that really, really was profound for me, and I want to share it with you. He said, and I think this comes from your Catholic background. He said, for the skeptic, no evidence is enough. For the believer, for the imaginal human, no evidence is necessary. Oh, thank you, Ian. That just really tied that up. There's a beautiful Thich Nhat Hanh quote on this little card too. I thought maybe you could use this on your refrigerator. And he says, and I'm visualizing, I'm seeing God as saying this to us. Through my love for you, I express my love for the whole cosmos, the whole of humanity, and all beings. Thank you. Oh, yes.
Can I mention something about Barbara McMartin?
Yes.
When she came and spoke at the fellowship, I think it was the early 90s, she'd come and spoken at
Unity?
no,
Or
no, at MSU.
oh, okay.
And spoke to a couple hundred people. And I think Max and Tommy Raines brought her here. Well, she was here on the trip.
That makes sense, yeah.
She came and talked at the fellowship, and she kept referring to us as fellowship for tomorrow. And somebody finally yelled out and said, we're fellowship for today. And she said, no, you have the vision,
Yeah.
the futuristic vision that you should call yourselves fellowship for tomorrow.
Yeah.
She really recognized that.
And right, exactly. And when I think of who are the people, who are the imaginal humans, we have a room full of them right now. And such an important mission we have. Thank you so much. We're not going to do it. It's too late. So let's just move along. We'll do David. We'll let David do it.
God's design.
Great talk. I didn't know what I was going to do for the second song. The Holy Spirit had picked this one. It's an oldie but a goodie. It really fits the whole theme. It's Elton John song, actually, lyrics by Bernie Taupman. It's called The Love Song.
Words I have to say may well be simple, but they're true. Until you give your love, there's nothing more that we can do. Love is the opening door. Love is what we came here for. Nothing could offer you more. Do you know what I mean? Have your eyes really seen? You say it's very hard to leave behind the life we knew. But there's no other way, and now it's really up to you. Love is the key we must, truth is the flame we must burn. Freedom, the lesson we must learn. Do you know what I mean?
Lovely. Thank you so much. Wow. Another round. Boy, that was just so beautiful. Wonderful message, Mary. Just so, beautiful. Interesting. Oh my goodness, I'll be thinking of that. Butterflies. Lovely. Okay, and now it is time in the service. We're blessing our tithes and offering. And we're taught in the Course in Miracles that giving and receiving are one in truth. So every one of us benefits from all your generosity, and it means so much. And to be able to come here each week. So thank you so much for the donations that support the work of our fellowship. And whether you're preparing your gift now or you do that online, please hold your tithes or gifts in consciousness. And John is going to be going around with the basket. We can take out our cards. And let us read together the blessings right in the front of your card here. The light of divine love shines eternally, blessing and multiplying our tithes and offerings. I joyously give, knowing I always have enough to share and to spare. And we're going to just take another moment to go back within, and in your way, maybe close your eyes or just gaze downward. And we have the names here in the basket of those that we are thinking of and praying for, and also those in your heart, and those all around the world at this time. All of those that are in distress, suffering, pain. And let's envision love holding each and every one. And let's pray they truly feel this healing embrace, and that they truly know that they are the beloved children of the divine, whole, and blessed, and never alone, always guided and tended to with divine care. Let them feel this deep, deep love. And so may this be. And time for it. Okay, and we're going to go right into announcements. A couple here, and I think some of you here can smell the wonderful food, so please stay for potluck. This will Saturday the 21st at 2 o'clock will be a Deaf Cafe at the Fellowship office. There is a gratitude dinner on Saturday, November 11th at 5 o'clock at the fellowship office. And we'll have soup there, 3 different types of soups and bread. And if you could just bring a side, if you come, it's a fundraiser. We'd just love to have you there. The alternative holiday sale will be on November 17th. That's at Edgewood Church, and that's on Hagedorn in East Lansing. And
18th.
Oh, and 18th, right. It's a Friday evening, 5 to 9, and Saturday, it's all day, 9 to 5. And fellowship will have a table there, some wonderful crafts from Reverend Deb, and I know Reverend Mary. They made and purchased a lot of wonderful fair trade items. And if you haven't been there, it's really worth going. I love this, going each year. And we're going to have a collection started November 5th. That is next Saturday.
Next Sunday.
Sunday. Okay, yes. And it's gonna be a collection for our Christmas outreach project, and it's going to be for a refugee family. And it's collecting your change. So we'll have a box or a jar out there on the table. So whatever change you have, maybe put it in a baggie or keep it on the side and just bring it to service. And we'll have up until our Christmas dinner party on Saturday, December 16th. So we'll just keep collecting up until that time. So each week, if you think of it, just bring your change or dollars, yeah. But it'll go to a great cause, the refugees, I know. And I know Mark actually volunteers there. He does a lot of work for the refugees. Wonderful service that they do here in our community. Let's see, healing movements. Oh, we do have a schedule change. It's switching to 4:30 on Mondays. That's just starting tomorrow. So 4:30, a sound bath with Julie Ross will be. We're not sure yet, but that'll be coming once we get those details. And anyone else? Go ahead.
It was announced Dick Evans passed last night, so the minister of Marshall Street passed away.
Oh, passed away.
Unity.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Long time ago.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you, Craig. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so sorry to hear that. Thank you for sharing that. And okay, and remember the potluck. I don't want to forget. I'm sure you smell it, right? Please join us.
Oh,
and
Julie, there are some tapes and CDs out on the table out there that are just for donation. You can take it and the money will go to the fellowship.
Right. Did we hear that? Yeah.
Teaching kinds of.
Yeah, wonderful. Some right on that table. So if you see something you like, just a love offering, pick that up on your way out. And just thank you, everyone, for another wonderful, wonderful service. To David Meeder, we so appreciate you being here. Our wonderful Corey and Reverend Mary for a wonderful message, and Samantha, and all of you who come here. Just thank you so, so much. And thank you for joining us, for those online. And it's now time to join for our peace circle.